Release the Kraken!
Greetings, fellow game designers. Ron here at Lambda Studios, and today we're going to be recreating the chain from Resident Evil 2 and 3 Remake. You can see those right here. So you can see the image here. It is this yellow chain. We have, some speckles of the metal underneath. And it kind of just loops around on itself. I'm going to go ahead and just make this in Maya. We'll take a look at a couple different ones. It's a pretty good close-up. Now there's a bit of a weird thing with this chain. It looks like, I can't tell if there's a padlock behind that. Probably is. But it would just be kind of weird if the chain looped all the way around back to itself. It would be a wonderfully magical thing for them to accomplish. So there's probably a padlock there, though. Alright, let's jump back into Maya. And we're going to make this out of, take a guess, which would be the best one? The cylinder? Cylinder would be pretty good, right? Because you can take the cylinder and you can kind of like bend it around and you can get the ends. Perfectly good. You could take a cube and you could hollow out the cube and then round the edges. But we could go a step further and grab something that's already mostly round. We have this torus here. I'll go ahead and grab that. And I'll press F to frame up on it. And you're like, well, it's a very donut-y shape. It's true. But all I have to do is extrude or extend either of these two sides. So I'm going to go to a top view, so spacebar, go to my top view. And before I start editing this, I am going to reduce the subdivision count. I'll go over to channel box, come down to the poly torus input. And of course you have radius, which will change the ultimate size of this. You should know what size you want to make these. We'll worry about that in just a second, but then we have the subdivision axis width and height. And if you mess with these, you can reduce the amount of subdivisions around the width and the height. So I'm going to do, let's see, 12 and 12. Now if you want to go higher resolution, you're welcome to. I recommend doing a lower resolution since this is going to be a game object, because you can take this at a low resolution and you can run, if I go to display, and you go to a soften edges, and it's going to look pretty convincing in game without having to have as many subdivisions. So again, if it's going to be a game object, I recommend lowering this just a tad. Modern machines can go a little bit higher, but I digress. Anyway, we're going to keep it pretty simple. I'm going to jump into my top view here, and then go into vertex selection. And I'm going to just drag a selection box across the top half here. I'm not going to grab the middle, and I'm going to move this up like this. Looks pretty good, but I want to do this across both sides at the same time. So to do that, I'm going to go up to my symmetry settings, and I want to pick the symmetry that goes across to the other side. If I look at my compass here, you'll see that Z is the one that goes up and down on my screen. So I'm going to go up to symmetry, come down to Z. You can do object Z or world Z because both of these affect the object in the current position. So I'm going to go ahead and just do object Z. You'll see that pops up. And now I can just move this and make my chain link. However far you want to go is up to you. I'm just going to go a little bit. Perfect. And that, if I jump into my perspective, is plenty chain link. You don't need anything else. We're going to go into object mode now. Jump into UVs and UV editor. And just take a look at the UVs, make sure that they are complete. And you can see this is already done because we didn't do a lot to change this torus. The UVs that are pre-made for us are there and they're perfect. You can see that this is where it's cut right here on the edge. If I go to face mode, let's take our selection. You can do this in face selection or UV. It doesn't really matter. Just go ahead and select it all. And then go up to image. And then come down to UV snapshot. And we'll send this out somewhere. I'm going to go ahead and just hit browse. And this is going to be the Resident Evil chain UVs. There we go. Hit save. So now it's in there. We'll hit apply. We have our output. Awesome. And we'll close this. Close that. Let's jump into Photoshop. Now while Photoshop is opening, let's go ahead and size this correctly. The average large chain is about 2 inches by 1 inch. So we're going to adjust that. I'm going to create a little box here. And inside this little box, I'm going to go to its settings. And right now, we are currently in centimeters. So this is a 1 centimeter cube. We need to do a little bit of math to figure out exactly how big this cube is. Okay. Since I'm in centimeters and I want to convert to inches, of course we could set this to inches and just save ourselves the time, but we should know conversions. So there are 2.5 centimeters per inch. So 2.54 is our conversion per 1 inch. So if I want this to be 1 inch wide, I need for the width to be 2.54. So 2.54. Which we are, looks like we're just about the right size there. And then I need for the depth on this, I want that to be 2 inches. So if I multiply that by 2, we're going to get 6.4516. So it comes down to the depth here. I'm going to do 6.4516. And I think it's probably a good length, but I might adjust the width a little bit. So let me do the width at 2.54 times 1.5. So 3.81. 3.81. As far as the thickness is concerned, I think that's the appropriate thickness. So what I'm going to do for this cube here, I'm going to go to Attributes, go down to the cube, and then come down to Display. And we'll go down to its Drawing Overrides. Enable overrides. We're just going to make, and then display type, we're going to change this down to template. There. So now we can see this. We can't select it anymore, but we just need this as a reference. So grab that and jump into my top view here. Hit my scale, and I'm just going to scale this so it is roughly the size of the box. And that should get us the appropriate size chain link. Good. We're going to bake the details here. So I'm going to take this, come up to Modify, Freeze Transforms. That's going to bake all of this information. And then I'll clear off the history. Edit, Delete by Type, History. And we'll name this Chain Link. Cool. I no longer need my size cube. I'll go ahead and just select it in my menu here and just hit Delete. And we can save this. Okay. All right, let's hop over into Photoshop. In Photoshop, I'm going to go down to the Open option. I'm going to go over to my Tutorials folder here and just grab my UVs. Just make sure you find the location that you stored yours. I'm going to hit Open. Here they are. It's kind of hard to see. I'm going to go ahead and name the layer here. Just double click it. I'll call that UVs so I know what layer that is. I'll throw on a background color, come down to the little yin-yang symbol here, and then we'll go up to solid color. Whatever background color you like. I'm going to go ahead and just do like a metallic gray here, just because I'm going to use that as the main color. Hey. And I'll drop this down behind it. I'll just change this from fill color to background. Grab the UVs, double click. Let's go ahead and just put a stroke on here. And I have mine colored to green, that's okay. Just make sure that you have it set to outside, and then you can set whatever value you want here. I have mine set to 5. So this will get us a grayish color, but we want to have that yellow color on here to kind of match what we're doing. So I'm going to come into Photoshop here. I'm going to find that mustardy yellow. So it's like this, but then it's more like a grayish, dingy yellow, something like that. And if you want to see my value, you got to grab the little HSV number, or you can take this or the RGB. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to make a new layer. I'll just move this down. I'm going to say color. And in there, I will just paint bucket it in. So make sure I'm on the correct layer here. Paint bucket in. And that kind of fills it. But we want a few different things to happen with it. So if you look at each different chain link, you see some of them are speckled, some of them are only half colored. You know, it looks like it's been peeled and kind of, this has been beaten up and kind of worn for a while. So you can do that inside of here, and you can make a couple different ones. So I have regular color, like for the whole thing. I'm going to Alt and then drag to bring down another one. I'll turn the top one off. The new one, I'll name, I don't know, color scuff 1. And you can make a couple different types of scuffing so it doesn't look the same for each one. But I'll just go ahead and do this one. And we'll make something different in here. So to get the effect that I want, I'm going to add a mask. I'm going to come down to the little little flag looking thing. Looks like a Japanese flag because it's, you know, the white and the circle in the middle. Go ahead and click on this. It's going to add this on here. Now make sure that you have the correct one selected. You can see I can select this. This gives me my color. This one gives me the mask. And if I grab the mask here and I come up to filter and I come down to render, I can go to the clouds option. So go ahead and hit clouds. And now I have this effect in the mask here. I can see a little bit of this is faded and whatnot. I can ramp this value by maintain the selection here, come up to image, adjustments, and we can go down to levels. And we have this peak and valley here, and if you adjust these sliders, you can fade off some of this color. And I'll come back and fade the other way. And as I fade and bring the light color back, I can really brighten this up. And if I bring it all the way up, you can see I get really crisp edges. You can bring it down some. And then you have a middle slider. This one is your midtones. I can slide this way to kind of get more tapering on the edges there, kind of make it more crisp. Or I can take it all the way back to here to make it look like most of the material is still there, but some of it's worn and faded. So you can play around with these values to get different effects. I'm going to go with something kind of like in between right about here. And I'll hit OK. Hey. And then every time you do this, it'll be a different pattern. So I'm going to go ahead and just do one more. I'll turn the old one off. I'll grab the new one here. Let's go ahead and name this Scuff 2. And then I'll take the mask and I'll run the filter on it again. So filter, render, clouds. It'll give me a new pattern. And I can do the same thing. I can go to edit, or so I can go to image, adjustments, and then levels here. And we can adjust this a different way. I can go all the way this way to where it's just a little bit dingy and dirty, right? Now I can bring it back, or I can go this way. I'll do it a little bit dingy. And now I'm going to do something different on this one. With the mask selected, I'm going to come over to my brush settings here. And I'm going to go up to my brush, click and hold, grab a brush. I'm going to right click and look in my brushes here with a few different options. If I scroll down, there's dry brushes or some speckly brushes. But if I come down to the gear here, and I come down to classic legacy brushes, it's going to say, hey, do you want to restore legacy brushes and set the list? The presets, sure. And now I'll go into my legacy brushes here. And in the legacy brushes, we have a few options. Let's see, where do I want to go? I'm going to scroll down to the special effects brushes. I'm going to open them up. And I kind of like this one. Adjust. And if I change my color from black to white, and vice versa, so if I do it on white and I paint, it's going to kind of fill in. If I do it on black, it'll kind of erase. Now this one is kind of doing a speckled effect, so I'm not quite happy with that. I'm going to go ahead and try a different brush here. And inside legacy brushes, we scroll down. I'm looking for, you can really go through these and pick, but I'm looking for the dry media brushes. I'm going to open that. And I kind of like these little scattered brushes here. These are going to give me some nice speckly patterns. I'll go ahead and grab this one, the round fan texture. I'm just going to go around the edges of this. Really mar up. some of these areas. Turn off my UVs so I can see more of the pattern. Adjust my brush size. A smaller brush will get you some finer edges. So I'm going to go ahead and just do this one. Not going to spend a whole lot of time on this, but you kind of get the idea. You can modify this however you like. Make some unique wear patterns for each chain. And if you want this to kind of pop out from the image, we can then create normals for each one of these. So I'll go ahead and create a normal for this one. Sadly, this is going to be going away. But I'll go ahead and take my first one. If I select it, Alt, and then drag down, put it in between, I'll turn the original off. I'll change this one to Scuff 1 normal. Make sure I save because this might crash, so I'll go ahead and just save as. I'll do this as my Resident Evil chain tutorial material. Be a Photoshop file. Find a place you'd like to save it, save it. I'm going to select my normal here, and I'm going to come up to Filter, and then come down to 3D. You see it's kind of grayed out, but that's because we have a mask on it. So we have to remove the mask. So go ahead and go over here. We'll select the mask, right-click, and we'll go to Apply Mask. So if we apply the mask, it's going to make this part of the picture. You can see now that is the actual picture. And if I click my background, you can see it's like this hollow. Now I don't want this to be hollow. I actually want this background gray color to be part of the image. So I'm going to go ahead and just Alt and drag my background up. So now I have two backgrounds. I'm going to go ahead and grab both of these and then merge them together. So grab this one, that one, and then do Merge Layers. So now I have this one with a background as part of it. You can see if I turn the background off, it is there. Now that's very important because we want there to be contrast between this color and our background color so that when we do the normal pass, it knows to lift the two apart. So we're going to take that. Let's go ahead and just rename this color normal. Okay, it is. I'm going to go up to Filter, come down to 3D, and then Normal Map. That gets us a really good push off of there. You can see where like all the eroded bits are. Detail scaling, you can adjust this however you like. I'm going to go ahead and just put this on a cube so we can see it flat. If we turn the cube here, you can sort of see the pattern. You can also adjust invert height. You can see it up or down. You can see the flat pieces, the parts that are embedded, are actually raised up. You can play with those values, and depending on your game engine, you might have to flip the value anyway. For the detail scaling, let's go ahead and bring this down. I don't want this to like jump really, really far off of the image, so maybe I'd take this down to like 45, something like that. It's pretty good. Blur amount. If you take the blur amount down to 0, it'll have the transition be really, really sharp, which is sometimes good because like if you have like plastic peeled back, you want those sharp edges. But you don't want it to be too sharp to be distracting. So I'll do like 0.5 for my blur. That'll just soften that transition a little bit. Then I'll hit OK. So there's my normal map. And I'll do that again. I'll turn this one off. And I'll grab my other one, my color 2. Alt, drag to make a copy. Turn off the original. I'll also duplicate the background, so I'll turn that on. Alt, drag to make a copy. Turn off the original. I'll select my second color and my second background copy. Merge those. So merge layers. Be careful not to merge visible, because that might merge everything if you have more than one thing turned on. So visibility is just a little eyeball. In this case, if I merge visible, it would be fine. but if you have more than one eyeball on, it would merge them all. Make sure you do merge layers. And now we have this layer. I'll rename this to normal. So this is going to be color scuff to normal. Filter, 3D, normal map. And it came through. It did a pretty okay job. Here it got a little bit messy. I'll do my blur at 0.5. I'll keep that. That looks good. So now I have my two different normal maps. And now it's time to export our various textures. So this is the base color. So File, Save Copy. I'll make this a Targa. And I'll have a few different textures here. So this is going to be, we'll do this as albedo. And hit save. 24-bit is good. We'll do that on the next one. Let's turn off the normal there. Make sure we have our background. Save copy. Targa. We have our albedo. We'll do this one scuffed 1. We'll get our scuffed 2. So albedo scuffed 2. Make sure we set this to a Targa. And now we'll turn on our normal maps. So this is going to be the normal scuffed 1, so save copy. Get Targa. I'll grab the normal scuff 1. Or sorry, I'll grab the other scuffed 1 here. And I'll just do, instead of albedo, I'll change this to normal. And I'll turn on the other one, and I'll do that as well. And I'll get the normal scuffed 1, and I'll change that to normal scuffed 2. Again, make sure you're a Targa. Good. We can save the main Photoshop file as well. Let's jump back into Maya here. And of course in here, we can apply our different materials. So let's go ahead and go to rendering. I'll apply a material. I'll name that. This is going to be chain link. Material. I'll do mat underscore chain link. That way when we bring it over to Unreal or Unity, it'll already be named for us. Now all we have to do is hook up the various components. So I'm going to go in and hit my color. And if I go to File, and then follow the path to the folder, and then mine is stored in my tutorials folder. And you can see that they're all here in the Resident Evil one. If I grab the albedo, it's just going to be a flat color, so nothing too special. Press 6 to bring it up. There it is. There's our first chain link. Okay. And of course, you can always add on the other ones if you want to see them applied. So let's do scuffed and see what that looks like. So here's that one all scuffed up. Came out pretty good. I don't really see any texture seams, which is nice. And if you want to see that with the normal map applied, let's go down to bump mapping, file, follow the path here, and then add on the normal. And I'll grab the normal for the scuffed 1. You'll see as it's applied, you can really see that kind of digging in there. This is a bit too extreme, so you can always go hit this little arrow here, follow the color path, and then there is an option slider here. You can adjust the depth of how much that's going to eat away. Of course, you can do this inside the game engine, so you don't have to worry about it here, but you can really see how that's going to be driven. You can also change this from bump to tangent space normals, which is going to give us a little bit more accurate result. You can see this here. You can see that tearing up the material. That's really cool. So that's it for the design of this. Go ahead and save this, and in the next one, I'll show you how to export this and get it into the game engine. So stay tuned, and I shall see you next time. Hey guys, thanks for checking out my channel. Misty and I both thank you. If you enjoyed the video you just watched, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe. Also, we are at 1,500 subscribers. Woo! That is awesome possum. Rocket Flip is out if you have not taken a look at my latest devlog. It is in open beta testing, so if you want to grab a copy and test it out, see how it plays, leave some feedback, it really helps me out. Anyways, thank you all for watching, and I shall see you next time.